I'm Amanda Cialetti, Vice President of Content and Strategy with License Global, and welcome to today's License Global Fast Chat. Today, we are talking with the team at Blanca Pictures, and joining me are the team. We have Michael Bele, co-founder, idea creator, and creative producer. Lilia Belea, co-founder and executive producer. Christina Nazarskaya, head writer and producer, and Irina Spring, head of marketing. Thank you so much for joining us. It's nice to see you all.
Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Amanda.
Very happy to be here.
This first question is for Michael. Tell us the story of Ginji and what is its origin?
Oh, hi, Amanda. First of all, thank you for having us. The story started more than 10 years ago when I was indie game developer. And then I created the original image of a goofy orange horse in 2012. And only 3 years later, in 2015, my buddy and I started creating a prototype runner game with this character. And one day, his 4-year-old daughter saw it and fell in love with horse. She kept whining, I want the horse, give me my horse. And we thought, it's not the game. It's the funny ginger horse. That's what hooked the kid. And this should be branded. We think my sister Lila and I changed the strategy and focused on creating a cartoon. We initially thought of it as a preschool project, but I must say we didn't like it very much. It didn't fit the character and was just flat and, in my opinion, boring. So by 2019, Ginji grew up and stood up on 2 legs. She was now a teenager, working as a courier in a fantastical place called Cade City. She now lived in the future, where an animal civilization was built on the ruins of mysteriously disappeared human world. And so just to remind you, we imagined all this back in 2019. So I think we kind of foresaw the nearest future, I think. I'll explain. Post-human world where couriers play a key role. And all this before the COVID lockdowns.
So I love that those two came together in order to inform what you have now, which I'd love to learn a little bit more about the property. Lilia, can you explain how, more of that detail, more of that property backstory for us?
Amanda, this is the story of the story. I'll try to be short. At the end of 2019, just before the COVID time, private investor entered the project for the round A. And it was, the moment what we were waiting for, that what we needed. And we worked 24/7. And as soon as we started, it was during the height of pandemic time, we decided whatever happened in the world, any depression, any negative things, we make any disadvantage work for us. And we actively worked on Zoom, brainstormed, looked for stylistic solutions, developed project arc, season arc, and we began to write scripts non-stop. And in 2020, we opened our animation studio. We brought an amazing artist, animators. We started production, and we found our partners, co-production studios in Armenia and Ukraine. And in spring of 2021, we started production of the first season. And now, at the beginning of 2023, we almost done season 1. And season 2 is in the pre-production. That's it.
Wow. I mean, the passion that you have and the spirit that you've devoted to developing this project is absolutely evident in all facets of the property and of the storyline. But the art is just so beautiful and it is so lovely. Michael, what styles are used and how is that differentiated in the children's content space?
As Lila said above, we did a lot of research and had non-stop brainstorms. But from the start, we knew it's going to be 2D because that's what we like. And there are too many 3D projects around and we wanted to stand out. We like traditional old school animation. So that's the look was wanted for the series. And it went really well with the Bionic World, alternative universe, civilization of harmony with nature, hence of smooth lines and organic shapes. As for the color palette, we chose a very complex mixture. Ginji is about teenagers, and they are no longer kids, but not yet adults. Nothing is definite, nothing is basic. So the transient palette between sunset and sunrises is our interpretation of their inner state. As for our art style, I would call it equine futurism. Yes.
I like that. I think we'll steal that from you. Christina, I'd love to know, how is this showcased through the storylines, and what topics does the series cover to reflect this?
Thanks for this question, Amanda. I think it's very important, especially these days. I think one of the things that we look at from the very beginning is we want to show kids what are some of the important things in their lives, right? And they're going to have to figure out what it is that they want in their lives, and they're going to have to go and get it. And the only way, the real way that they can achieve things is with friends by their side, with a support system. These friends can take on a billion different shapes and forms and personalities. They're going to have their flaws, and the trick is to learn to accept them as they are. To move forward as a team, to overcome obstacles as a group, as a team, as one unit, because we draw strengths from each other, from the people around us. We give something to them, we receive something from them, and the trick is to do that. Why is it also important now is, especially in the Western civilization, we've noticed this trend where kids are spending so much time indoors, and the art of growing these social networks, of learning these social skills, interacting and establishing their own identities and borders is becoming somewhat of a lost art. So we want to show them, listen, our characters are out and about. They're in the universe. They're exploring their world. They're getting into all kinds of adventures, troubles, and they get out of them, right? So they figure out how to get out of it. And that is the that old saying, it's not what you get in life, it's the process of getting there, right? So this is where it's important for us to show the end product is the end product. What's important is how you get there and who you get there with. And we have villains, we have more than one. We worked very hard on making sure that they're not your typical bad guys who from the very beginning tell you, this is what I'm going to do, and that's how I'm going to do it. Nope. We're going to hide it. We're going to make you figure out what their goal is and what it is that they're really after. There is more than one villain, which is important to point out, and to find out why and where and how. Watch the series.
How did market research inform the Ginji's global scope? How did you translate that research into insight to inform the final product, and which is this animated series? Lily, I'd love for you to give us some insight there.
Actually, we watched how our character grew and how she changed. We study analogs, references, our competition, and we decided that Ginji definitely should be teenager, a tomboy, daring and fearless. Why? Because the market was full of preschool content, and 6+ and 10+ was wide open, and still it is wide open. And I'm sure there is a huge demand for good stories. That's why we decided. And we started to looking at what colors teenager preferred and their interests, the challenges they faced, and what their goals and what their aspirations. And as Mike said, we were looking for the global audience. No borders, no cultural limitations. We were talking to every teenager in the planet. And I may say that their questions are same, like mine. Who am I? And what unites us, and what unites 10 or 13-year-old girls in Germany, in China, in India, in Africa, in States, whatever. And every place in between are very common. Common values, common fear, love, family, and their place in society. It's a story about me and about you, you know? And that all stories are based on how to become the person you meant to be in your society. And more important, the role of girls in society. I can say because I'm girl, and that's why it's a true story. We feel it. Our scriptwriter is girl, we feel girls. We can tell true stories about them. And our stories are very carefully created in terms of inspiration, driving force, actions, and true dialogues.
I would like to add, we think that 2D animation is closer to teenagers' perception of the world. You see, it's easier for them to express themselves with a spray can on the wall or through a graphic T-shirt than to print their manifesto on a 3D printer, isn't it? And 2D characters in animation tend to be much more charismatic. Craig Kellman, who is one of the best character designers in the world, in my opinion, is our character designer, and he gave each character specific traits. Speaking of characters, we have certain recognizable archetypes. Verona is alternative rock chick, Boss and Delia, typically working class guys. Lola is flashy influencer, Stanley is office nerd, and so on and so on. Everyone is different, just like in real life. There are now neighbors, friends, colleagues, classmates, family. And Ginji is a country bumpkin, fearless, ready to take on the unknown, As a designer, I pay special attention to the look of the series, characters, logos, various Easter eggs. Since Ginji is a commercial project, it's very important to immediately determine and understand how a universe and characters will interact with the licensing market, how trendy they will be, and how certain visual solutions in merchandise are implemented.
That thought is evident. I mean, I think it's evident in the artwork. I can see that immediately upon looking at it. And so I'm glad you pointed that out, certainly. What does this mean for partners, and what value does this bring them and your audiences? Christina, I'd love to hear from you.
Thank you. I think that's a very relevant topic, especially now where we understand that women offer a unique, not only background, but a way of problem solving. And we've been in every industry, we've been led by men for a couple of thousand years, and I'm by no means suggesting that ability is sex-based, that it's experience-based, and women bring a different set of experience to the table. It's important to also understand that primary caregivers around the world are women, so that is another aspect, another benefit that we bring to the story. Our main character is female, so I think for us, it was important to make sure that we have women on the writing team, we have women on the production team at every stages of progress to reflect the main character, to reflect her adventures, to reflect her way of thinking, the insecurities that she might be facing. It's everything that we have, everything that we've experienced and we lived through is something that women around the world can relate to. So it was important for us to make sure that on production team, and it just happened. We didn't necessarily bring in women to fill those positions. We brought in the best. They happened to be women, which is a great advantage for us. And in our co-production, a lot of the animators and artists are women. So I think it's a great advantage to us from the technical, from the emotional, from the experiential point of view.
Wonderful. Switching gears slightly is the topic that is hyper relevant to our readership and to our audiences, which is licensed consumer products. Irina, what categories are a first focus for Ginji items, and in what regions are your first targets?
We analyzed how similar animated IPs are coming out on the licensing markets, and we decided to start from the publishing sector with the books and comics featuring Ginji's adventures. They will introduce Ginji and her friends to kids and teenagers before we air. At the same time, we are looking at the toys and the gaming segments, soft toys, original Ginji gadgets. We have tons of them in the show. And the biggest category where all the designs, props, characters, logos can be implemented most comprehensively are apparel and accessories for all age ranges, adults included. Some prototypes we brought to the BLE in September, and we've got a great response from everyone we've met with. Our licensing strategy is to go into a partnership with strong regional agencies. Well, it will help us to reach the right audiences, to have more focused distribution, as well as benefits from the best practices in different regions. Our first year target to be presented at the licensing market in Europe, United States, and Canada. However, Ginji global positioning gives us a chance to be completely open for any suggestions and cooperations with the global licensing agencies.
Perfect. Now, where do you see this then, IP, in 2 years or maybe even 5 years?
Our plan is to have 3 seasons ready for streaming on platforms like Netflix, with the biggest coverage worldwide. In the countries where this platform isn't available, we are looking for local streaming partners and broadcasting on local TV channels or OTT content providers. We're speaking mostly about China and partially about Taiwan, Macau, and Hong Kong. Ginji comics, toys, and branded apparel will be available in co-European markets like Germany, Italy, Spain, France, the UK, as well as in the United States and China. And in 5 years, we'll have already all 7 seasons on air. At the time, we'll also have a video game, maybe a modern one. Our licensing geography will expand to India, South America, South Korea, Japan, and other Asian countries. We have big plans for on-site activations via theme parks, ice shows, performances, and concerts. By then, we'll have well-developed ideas for spin-offs. All we know that our Ginji will conquer the hearts around the world.
Absolutely.
And become a good and trusted friend.
Wonderful.
And, Ginji is very much a long-term project.
I can see that. I can absolutely see that. And you can see that to not even be punny, it has a lot of legs. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much to the Blanca Pictures team for joining us for this License Global Fast Chat. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Amanda. Thanks a lot.
Bye.